A somewhat admirable effort by the Miami Dolphins on the road on a short week in cold weather conditions against the Green Bay Packers, but overall did not get it done. That first half was quite embarrassing, really embarrassing actually, and kind of a tough, sloppy watch. But they really picked it up in the second half, and granted, they actually made it somewhat of a game, so good for them. But the narrative continues, and anyone who thinks that the narrative is BS or not real is out of their mind. And that narrative is the Miami Dolphins not being able to win in cold weather conditions, and specifically Tua. Tua is now 0-8 in temperature below 40, so not a great stat at all if you are interested in being a playoff team and ultimately making it to the Super Bowl, especially in the current state of the AFC, where you most likely have to go to Buffalo or play in KC or maybe Cincinnati or Pittsburgh in January. Can the Miami Dolphins do that? Probably not. Can anyone believe that they could go to a cold weather environment in January and actually win a playoff game? Anybody at all? Because I definitely don't. And yeah, it wasn't a blowout today, and Tua played pretty good. His numbers are pretty good, but it's the ultimate team sport, and they just look soft out there. It just looks like a mismatch most of the time when they're playing in the cold, and this is just another grade A example of that. Not only that, but in these playoff games, in these kind of tight games under the lights, it kind of scares me knowing that Tua is one hit away from being out of the league or being concussed again, just because it's more than likely the Dolphins are going to be in passing scenarios throughout the majority of each game. Plus, getting hit in the cold hurts a lot more, and it's a lot more brutal than compared to being hit in a regular temperature. So I don't know, man. I think it was a good story of Tua coming back and almost getting the Dolphins to the playoffs, but it's probably not going to happen this year. This was a must-win game, and they, of course, did not get the job done. As of right now, they're 2 games back from the Broncos and the 7th seed, and the Broncos are playing the Browns at home this upcoming Monday night. So really, if they take care of business, which they totally should, that would put them up 3 games compared to the Dolphins. So I guess they're technically not mathematically eliminated at this point in time, but this loss tonight pretty much ends their season. And if I'm Mike McDaniel, sure, you don't want to pull the plug onto a not playing for the rest of the year just yet, but I would highly recommend just sort of tanking it from here on out, especially once you get mathematically eliminated. There's no point of having Tua out there. Again, when you're one hit away, when you're one concussion away from suffering your 6th concussion, 7th concussion, I would not recommend that. But you guys let me know in the comments below if you think Miami will ever win in the cold. Do you think they will ever get rid of that narrative? And I gotta be honest, I'm impressed with Tua. His stats look good today. I know that first half was really choppy. Second half, he looked a lot better, and they actually found a rhythm. So I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but again, we're talking about football, man. It's the ultimate team sport. This isn't the NBA where you just put 2-3 superstars together and that's your team. They have this narrative for a reason. When you come from a hot tropical place like Miami, when the weather's perfect, when it's January, they're just not prepared for that because they never see that. Teams up north are built different. The Bills, the Steelers, the AFC North is one of the most defensive-minded, tough division in football through the history of the NFL because of the weather. It's just a different sort of mentality. It's a different sort of way of life up there. It's just tougher up there. It's just like straight up, it's tougher. It's tougher to play ball up there, and it's tougher to live up there on like a day-to-day basis, man. So yeah, man, like I said, let me know in the comments below if anyone believes the Dolphins can win on the road in a cold playoff environment. That won't happen this year, but maybe next year if Tua stays healthy for the whole year, which again seems like a tall task, but we'll have to wait and find out what's in store next year for the Miami Dolphins. But now I want to take a quick look at the AFC picture, because I really feel like the AFC playoff picture is pretty much solidified at this point. I really think the only team that might jump out of the current playoff picture is the Denver Broncos, but even then they have a 2-league game currently on the Colts and the Dolphins, and they're playing the Browns this week, like I mentioned earlier, and that'll quickly become a 3-game lead. So yeah, as of right now, the first round of the playoffs, it would be the Bills and the Broncos playing, and then the Steelers and the Chargers, and then the Texans and the Ravens, and of course the Chiefs with their bye week. I know we still have a lot of regular season ball to play, but the Bills, man, I think this could be their year. I really think this could be their year, and it's not only because they beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. It's just because I think Josh Allen is just playing at a different level, and I think Sean McDermott finally realizes that too, to the point where they're going to win with them or they're going to die with them. And I just feel like in recent years they haven't had that mentality. And who knows, maybe when they do play the Chiefs again in the playoffs, it'll come down to that situation where it's a 4th down and you're down by 5 points and you could kick a field goal, but you really should go for the kill when you're playing the Chiefs. And I feel like it's going to come down to that, and I feel like Josh Allen is going to come through for the Bills. That's kind of my prediction for the AFC Championship this year and eventual AFC winner, the Buffalo Bills. You guys let me know if you agree with me or not. You know, the Steelers and Chargers, I feel like they kind of cancel each other out. Still some questions with Russell, and still some questions with the Chargers. Broncos are a good story. Who knows? They could play upset to the Bills or whoever they match up against, but realistically, that's not likely to happen. And then the Texans and Ravens are kind of figuring things out right now. The Texans have a lot to figure out. I'm sure the Ravens will get it together. They had a big win versus LA this past week. Maybe they could ride that momentum. I just don't see them being the Chiefs this year, but that's just me. You guys let me know who's going to win out in the AFC. Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, man, if you made this far, please subscribe. How about your boy Ton? That's all I got for right now. Peace.
Second and 10 coming up. The Broncos go with the dime formation here on defense. The Chargers have it at the 39. Malik Jackson chases him down.
Every defense is looking for somebody to hit the quarterback, and the best person to do it is the defensive end. What a good job that time by him.
Green set now, split out wide to the left. Rivers has got it in the gun. And that pass is just thrown away. The Chargers are going to punt this one away. And no return as this goes for a touchback. The Chargers defense, where was it the last time? They could not stop the pass.
Well, they were trying. I mean, they were working as hard as they could, but hey, this group they're going against on offense, they're pretty good.
First down at the 20. Demaryius Thomas with the grab. Met by Flowers that time.
Anytime you get over 4 yards on first down, it doesn't matter what the Is it a run or a pass? That time, nice throw by the QB. Now they're in great position. Second down and short.
The Broncos have it at the 29.
The NFL is so hard in these known situations. Second down and short is a big running down in the NFL. The defense knew it. They took advantage of it and stopped the offense for no gain.
Pulls it in. That's been the story of this game. Another third down conversion to move the chains.
I like